Hey there, today's lesson is on transformation units, rotations, reflections, and translations. We're going to be covering text 10 that is two-dimensional shapes. The student applies mathematical process standards to develop transformational geometry concepts. The student is expected to A. Generalize the properties of orientation and congruence of rotations, reflections, translations, and dilations of two-dimensional shapes on a coordinate plane. B. Differentiate between the transformations that preserve congruence and those that do not. Explain the effect of translations, reflections over the y and x axis, and rotations limited to 90, 100, 270, and 360 degrees as applied to two-dimensional shapes as a coordinate plane using algebraic representation. And D. Model the effect of linear and area measurements of dilated two-dimensional shapes. Here's a copy of the text. If I can get this thing to spin around. Just so you can halfway read them if you want to stop this. Okay. The best way that was explained to me when I was growing up to remember a reflection and rotation and translation was like this. You have a rotation, and since rotate means turn, but you can see it means turn for the T and the N, and since there's 4 letters, there's a good space in there. So a rotation means you just turn it 90, 270, 180, 360 degrees, whichever you're going. A reflection means to flip it over the X or the Y axis. You use the F and the L from reflect, and it reminds you of flip. That was always something I liked. And translations means to slide. You just slide it over the x-axis depending on how your numbers change through the x and y coordinates. Here's a couple of examples that was used. This would be a reflection. It just flips over. My drawings aren't really to scale. It's kind of tough to draw when you're not good at it. Here's my reflections. It reflects over the x-axis. X goes side to side, y goes up and down. Here is a rotation. It's hard to tell it's rotation just because the drawing's terrible. But it just rotates. The top corner comes down to the bottom corner, and the bottom is right there. And then you have a translation. It just slides straight over the x-axis. So it's pretty simple. So after you're done explaining this, you go to your students, and this is my lovely assistant, and she will be helping me out today with my lesson. So first we're going to start. I wish I knew how to spin this thing around, but apparently I do not. First we're going to start with a rotation. And Miss Becca, what does rotation mean?
Rotation means turn.
Good. Okay, can you show us that on your plane that you have drawn there?
Maybe.
If you can pick up that. So you have your first triangle drawn like that. Now we're going to just turn. I don't know. You probably colored it on backwards.
I did color them backwards.
Okay, that's fine. Just flip it over and use it.
Yeah.
Okay. And here, just turn it to the bottom in the 90 degrees.
If I can keep a hold of this thing.
Yeah, sorry.
So if you just
Turn it just like that. Okay, now let's see if you can turn it 180 degrees. Just turn it again. And one more time for 270. Okay, good. So that's how you do your rotations. Now we're going to go into reflections. So Miss Becca, can you show us reflections on the second one, please?
Mm-hmm. So really tiny. Okay.
You just reflect it over the line. Okay, now reflect it to the 180.
If I can.
We should use. So you can pick up. Okay, that's how you reflect it 180, and then one more time for 270. And 360 reflect it, you would just flip it right back on top of where originally it was. Okay, now we're going to do translation. What does translation mean?
Translation means to slide.
Good.
Okay.
You just slide it straight, and then you slide it to 180, and then you slide it to 270, and for 360, you just slide it right back over the original one. And that's how you do all your translation slide. For this, you really don't need any kind of group activities. I guess you can if you have a couple students struggling and need them to get more into it. All the materials you really need is a transparency graph for the teacher. That'd be helpful, especially if they still do projectors or smartboards. Smartboards are very helpful using this activity. To end the lesson, I'd give the students one image and let them flip it over on their own and kind of quiz them just to make sure they knew exactly what it is that they're doing, and they can explain to me that a rotation means to turn, a reflection means to flip, and translation means to slide. Those are basically the three things that you really need to know about rotations and your transformation units. So, I guess until next time.